What is good, guys? How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Comic geeks, comic fans, lovers of comics, it is your boy, M.V.K here. As always, how's everybody doing on their end? Today, on this comic review, we are turning back to the world of Marvel, and it is a book that I recently picked up not too long ago. I was waiting for it to come in trade. I've been starting to do that as of late, miniseries or certain characters that I love, but I'd rather read the whole series as one instead of picking up in trade in single issues. I've been doing that as of late. I do that pretty much with all my DC stuff. Like DC now, I get in trade now. There's not a lot of books there's only like 2 series that I actually do get in singles issues. But having said that, I'm here to give my review of the latest in the life story Marvel stories. Fantastic Four life stories. Now, a while back I reviewed Spider-Man life stories, and I thought that was really good. The life stories series is a really ingenious way of showcasing the heroes that we love aging in real time from the different eras. So we saw Spider-Man go from 60s all the way up to the 2000s. Same thing here. We see the Fantastic Four go from the 60s all the way up to the 2010s here. But what did I think? First of all, the book is written by Mark Russell. Mark Russell does the writing, and there are several different artists in this. So I want to make sure I give everybody credit. We got Sean Izaki, I hope I'm saying your name right. Francisco Mana. We have Carlos Magno, which I do know. Z Carlos and Angel Uzita. Nolan Woodard does the coloring, and lettering is done by Joe Caramagna. And of course, the covers are done by Daniel Acuna, of course. But life stories. This was very touching, very good storytelling of showcasing what it'd be like if the Fantastic Four, they got their powers in the 60s, and what would that have been like for them throughout the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and even the 2010s. Them aging. Now, I'm not going to spoil everything, but I do got to commend Mr. Russell on the writing. The main gist of this book is simple. In a sense, obsession. Obsession is the biggest deal. And we always talk about this Reed. Sometimes Reed Richards, sometimes he focuses too much on his work and less time on his family, and we see that play up in this. But obsession to the point where it's obsession for all the right reasons, but it is a detriment to the people he loves. And what I mean by that is, when they get their powers, when they're in outer space or subspace or so, Reed sees the world devourer, Galactus. And in this book, Galactus comes off almost like a straight villain. And when they return with their powers, Reed constantly starts to have visions of Galactus. And we're seeing him try to warn all the governments that Galactus is coming. And in the meantime, we see him get married. We see, of course, Ben is not liking the fact that he is the Thing. He was blaming Reed for what happened. But what I love about each book, each story, each issue, it's told from the perspective of each individual. So I believe Reed tells the first and last story. We get the 70s are done by Sue, the 80s done by Johnny, the 90s are through the perspective of Ben, and the 2000s are done through Franklin. Yes, Franklin is in this book, but no Valerie, Reed and Sue's second child. Only Franklin. I was shocked at that. I was like, wow, no V, really. But what I love about the storytelling in this is just you're seeing the different eras of the time. You know, the space wars, from civil rights to women's rights to right to vote. You know, the Cold War, the Vietnam War. Are we seeing other Marvel heroes in this? Yes. There's even situations where Reed's obsession becomes the detriment to his marriage. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that out there. Yes, Reed and Sue get divorced or separate. I believe it was divorced because he did have the divorce papers, but Reed and Sue get divorced in this, and Sue goes off to once I saw who she was with, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Yeah, Namor. She's with Namor. This even goes into I believe the Cuban Missile Crisis and nuclear war and things like that. But all through all this time, all the things that are happening, it is still Reed's obsession with Galactus. He's like, he's coming. Please listen to me. Getting help from people like Tony Stark. Some big brain scientists are thinking Reed is crazy. Some thinking, even Hank Pym is in this. I talk to ants and everything like that. We get Victor. Of course, we get Dr. Doom in this, but he's not scarred up or anything. But he's still portrayed as being someone you should be a threat to. The Mad Thinker is a big part of this, which I was really cool with. I was like, wow, the Mad Thinker doesn't get enough credit. But we do see a lot of the Fantastic Four villains, some of them. We see Mole Man. We hear mention Red Ghost. We see Black Panther. And Black Panther in this, T'Challa is looked at as someone very cool, but he even there's even a point, I believe it's the late 2000s, the 90s, where I think it's the 2000s and 90s, where Wakanda creates a vaccine for AIDS, and they give it to the world, like that was their gift to them. I was like, when I read that, I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised that they did that for Wakanda, because if Wakanda was real, you could bet your bottom dollar Wakanda would have come with a cure or a vaccine for the AIDS virus. So yeah, I actually like that. We do see Ben, how he is doing. I love Ben's perspective because as Ben goes through the different eras, Ben's like one of the only ones that is not really aging. You can't really tell because of his rock hide, and it's always been said that, and it's always been implied in past comics that Ben is practically immortal because of his rock form. But the girl that he loved, Sally, he doesn't go to see her. He's looking at himself as like a monster, things like that. He's like, no one would ever love me. Now, you guys probably asking yourself, what happened? Well, over time, we see the difference that Sally caught up with him and said to him, why don't you ever come back to me? Why? And he told her, look, Sally, would you have loved somebody like that? And it was that fear that he had. And she never hated him for that, but she did. She got married, she had kids and everything like that. But does he meet Elisa? Yes, he does. And in this world, she's not blind. I don't think so. It didn't look like she was blind in this. So she's seeing Ben as his form, and she still loves him. Love conquers all. I love that. I like that approach. With Franklin, does Franklin have powers? Yeah, he has powers in this, but not the same powers that he has in the main continuity. In this, he's more of a telepath, and he even hints that his family sent him off to a boarding school, and I'm looking at the people that he was accidentally using his powers off, and they were hurting him. And I seen this kid that had shades on, and I'm like, is that Cyclops? And I'm like, is that Beast? Is that Jean? I'm like, basically implying, yeah, that was either the X-Men. So they did send him off. He has psychic powers in this, and it was really good. Two of my favorite stories had to been more between Ben and Johnny. Johnny does the 80s, I believe. Yes, it's the 80s. There is a death in this story, and I knew it was coming, and I knew, but it doesn't make it any easier to see this character die, because if you guys know me, he is my favorite of the FF. So y'all should know who I'm talking about if you don't. But he dies heroically saving Manhattan from a nuclear missile that was shot off by the Russians. Yeah, the Soviet. And once again, it just shows when he died. He was 40 years old when he died. So it shows when this certain character was born and when he died. He was born 1946, died 1986. I'm not going to spoil who that is, but yes, we do see characters like Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man for a short while. You know, we see him through when he has the red costume. Also, we see him with the symbiote. We see Miles Morales. We see Riri Williams, Captain Marvel. But this is a really good story, and it does combinate during the 90s. Silver Surfer comes, and this Silver Surfer being another one of my top 10 favorite Marvel characters of all time, but here he's still the herald of Galactus, and he comes and he is straightforward. He don't sugarcoat anything, but he's got a lot of personality too. But he comes off and he's like, my master's coming. There's no use of trying to defend yourselves. You're gonna die. In 10 years, my master's coming. So rejoice. Spend the rest of your time, because your planet's doomed. And even when they try to find ways of solving Galactus, Surfer's like, it's no use. You know, he even comes in and he comes into the Baxter building. He's like, yeah, I let myself in. And he's just like, you know, it was kind of funny. Reed had shot poisonous gas in the Baxter building, so like if somebody's in there, an intruder, they're gonna get sick. And here's Surfer just there on a chair, just like, and they see the gas, when he's just like, yeah, I just let myself in. And he even tells them, I know what you're doing. It's not gonna work. He says the only way you're gonna solve this is if you accept. Talking to Reed, he's like, if you do what, accept being Galactus's new herald. Surfer goes on to tell them his story about being just like Reed. I was a man of science. I was a man of Zen law. I did this. I took the choice. I took the power cosmic to do all this stuff. They even question, like, then why didn't you just send Galactus to uninhabited worlds? And he goes into detail about it. And more importantly, he says Galactus has never felt another connection like me, and points to Reed, since you. Because it's implied that since Reed is able to see him and have vision, he knows when Galactus is coming. Galactus, they're like almost connected. Galactus wants Reed as his herald. And even when later on, when Reed does accept it, now he's a lot older, what Galactus does to Surfer, it was messed up. I was like, oh, that was messed up. He says, I honorably can give you the last thing, death. And I'm just like, oh. Takes the power cosmic from him, and you just see Norn Rad floating in space. I was just like, oh, that's so cool. Franklin gets married to a Wakandan, who I believe is a sibling of T'Challa. We also see he has kids. He lives in Wakanda. Reed and Sue make up. They get back together, but it's really sad at the end because Reed, at one point, it's really sad for Reed. I'm not gonna spoil what happens to Reed, but you're really sad for him too. It's like, oh, but it's really sweet at the final pages of what Reed left for his family, and it was really nice and really sweet. But this was really touching, just as touching as Spider-Man Life Stories was, but this was really good. I really enjoyed this, and I recommend anybody, if you liked the Spider-Man Life Story by Chip Zdarsky and Bagley, you're going to like this too. Do I feel that they're in the same continuity? I would say no, but it was good. This is so good. And Marvel, please continue this. Continue this. I am working on a video. It probably is already up by the time before this goes up. A video of characters that can get the life story treatment. Marvel, please continue the life story miniseries for characters, especially those characters that were the foundation of the company in the 60s, the golden or the silver age of Marvel. When Marvel changed, Fantastic Four, you already got the Fantastic Four, you got Spider-Man. Let's keep going. Put an Avengers one out there, an Iron Man, a Hulk, a Daredevil. You can do more of these. This is too good to just stop here. Bring in the big gun. If you do an X-Men, Claremont, right off the rip, Claremont should be the writer for the X-Men life story. You want to do Daredevil? I would have Chip Zdarsky come back and do Daredevil. Do one for Punisher. I would do that. I said the Avengers. Show it through the perspective of Thor, watching all his teammates get older while he still is not aging. Bottom line, guys, keep this going, Marvel, please. This is good stuff. I recommend it. If I was giving this a rating, this is a near 10. Give it a 9.5. This was good. This was really good. I really enjoyed this. You felt bad for them. It got you emotionally attached. If you are a Fantastic Four fan, you're gonna like it. If you never really got into the FF, but you know their back end story about them, I still think you're gonna like it. At the end of the day, it was good storytelling. Mark Russell, you did a great job, sir. I appreciate the writing. I appreciate everybody who did artwork on this. Like I said, I'm not gonna show you a lot of things because it's too good. You just gotta go see it for yourself. But I will show you maybe. Let me just show you. I'll show you. Let's see. I'll show you Galactus. There he is. Look how creepy he looks. There you go, the big G. But yeah, do yourselves a favor, guys. Check it out. Buy it. It is. This is a little. This is. It's. Where did I get this? I think I got this. But it's worth it. It's worth. I don't want to say the price, but it's worth it. It is very much worth it. You'll like it. I promise you will. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Come back next time when I review. I'm finishing up a DC book right now that one of you pack members got me for Christmas. It was supposed to be like a Secret Santa, but he's not really good at it. He hates it. So I want to give a shout out to Comic Freak X. Thank you for the book. I'll show it to you guys right now. I'm working on finishing this book, Batman Killing Time. Thank you for this, Sean. Comic Freak X, thank you so much for this. I appreciate this. I wanted to read this, so thank you. I'm almost finished with this, and this will be the next review for DC. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Deuces.